jobs, with the unemployment rate hitting 16%, the highest on record. Friday's upcoming report will capture the full impact of the coronavirus lockdowns that began in mid-March. Joining me right now to talk about that is the U.S. Labor Secretary, Eugene Scalia. And Mr. Secretary, it's great to have you this morning. Thanks so much for being here.
My pleasure, Maria. Good to be back with you. And yes, it'll be an important and interesting report that we put out on Friday.
How should we be looking at these reports, Secretary? Because I know that right now we are in a moment in time that hopefully will go away at some point. But we are in a moment in time where we're seeing a very sharp, steep contraction for the second quarter, could be as high as 30%. Unemployment numbers continuing to rise. We see that every week with the benefits. Should we just ignore these numbers and think, well, those jobs will come back? Should we be looking at those numbers and saying, well, we are falling further into recession, which could get worse? How do you read these numbers?
Maria, I think you've put your finger on a really important issue, how to view these. I think first we have to recognize that these reports reflect millions, actually tens of millions of Americans who are out of work right now. And that's difficult. It's painful. And the president has done all he can and continues to do all he can to try to address that. At the same time, as you're suggesting, we got to this point by a completely different route than in past economic downturns. There was not some fundamental underlying weakness. We had a really strong economy. These were public health measures. Those measures are now gradually and thoughtfully being lifted, which gives me reason for confidence in a rebound that's different than what we've seen in the past.
And yet some companies will not be able to get to that rebound. We're looking at a list that is growing of bankruptcies. Hertz about to go bankrupt. You've got Gold's Gym going bankrupt. J. Crew. A number of companies will not be able to make it out of this period. So what about that? Will those companies come back? Will the jobs come back once things normalize again?
Well, I think the president and Congress have taken measures to try to keep those jobs in place. We've talked before about the Paycheck Protection Program and the value that has, from my perspective, at the Labor Department in keeping those businesses afloat, but also keeping workers tied to the business. So as we reopen, and as we're doing now, those workers have a job, those businesses have workers. There are going to be some businesses that are challenged, but others that are thriving, stepping up, doing great things. By the way, I'm going to be joining the president today on this trip to Arizona, a Honeywell facility that's going to be making N95 masks. Part of the great story of how American business is really coming to help the American people right now as we try to pull through this problem.
And I love that story, and I'm thrilled that you're going to be with the president this morning at Honeywell. You look at Honeywell making masks. You look at General Motors making ventilators. I mean, business has truly stepped up, and it's very nice to see. But I want to get back to the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program, because there are some expectations out there that you will loosen the rules. We talked before about the 75-25. 75% of the loan has to go right out the window to employees so that the employees get compensated, leaving only 25% of that loan to pay for things like rent and business expenses. A lot of businesses I've spoken with feel that that's too tight, that's too stringent. They have to pay. In fact, I've been talking a lot about restaurants, that those restaurants, they're not going to be able to stay open. They're going to probably go bankrupt. But yesterday I heard from a friend who's also a designer and a retailer, and she said to me, many of our retail accounts are using grant for stock, not staff. And they will be shocked that there's no forgiveness because it makes no sense to them to use so much for staff unless they have something to sell. So, there will be many disappointed folks not understanding the 75% payroll. Will you move to loosen these rules?
Well, the Paycheck Protection Program has just been an extraordinary success, Maria. As we've discussed before, I think its greatest challenge has been its popularity. And in the first round of funding, we had 1.6 million businesses get loans. In this latest round, already 2.2 million U.S. businesses getting loans, which says to me that we've got now smaller businesses are doing a better job taking advantage of the program and getting that funding that helps them keep their workers on payroll. That said, this program was designed as a paycheck protection program. It was meant to help workers in substantial part. It won't be all things to all people, the Treasury, the Fed have other programs that are also available to help small businesses. I know that Secretary Mnuchin, Administrator Carranza will continue to evaluate the program and operate it as best they can, but keeping workers on payroll was a fundamental goal of that program.
How about the 8-week period? You can get the loan forgiven if it's 8 weeks. Will you loosen that? Will you give more time so that businesses can have an opportunity to open? A lot of these businesses, they're getting the loans, but they're still in shutdown.
Well, but we're reopening now. Arizona, where I'll be going with the president today, is in the process of reopening now. A majority of states are doing that. So, yeah, there are certain limits that Congress itself put on the program. That the 8 weeks is one of them. But I think, again, that the program is doing wonderful things for tens of millions of workers actually across the country.
So what you're saying is no changes to the program?
Well, what I'm saying is it's working extraordinarily well, but I'm saying as well that Secretary Mnuchin and Administrator Carranza continue to take a look at it and make sure it is working as intended.
Let me ask you about the states and the potential for another relief package, because I spoke with Mayor de Blasio about a week and a half ago. He said New York City needs $7.5 billion right now. They need to be made whole. These are the losses that they encountered because of coronavirus. What would you like to see in another relief package as it relates to states and cities?
I think what we're focused on at the Labor Department primarily right now, Maria, is implementing the CARES Act, implementing the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, and also protecting workers in the workplace through the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, putting out safety guidelines and making sure that companies are keeping their workers safe. I know there is talk about potential future legislation. I do think that we have to proceed carefully there. We've now spent a great deal of money to keep this our businesses intact, to keep workers supported. And as we look forward to potential new legislation, I think we need to proceed carefully, both in terms of spending, but also in terms of potential new mandates. One of the reasons we had an extraordinary flourishing economy until just weeks ago was that this president was committed to tax cuts. He was committed to reducing unneeded regulatory burdens. And I think that those philosophies remain very important. And as people talk about new legislation, we need to keep our eye on that.
And real quick, going into Friday's report, is there anything you can say to us to soften the blow? We're expecting a pretty severe weak report come Friday for the month of April on jobs.
What I can say is that we had an extraordinary, unprecedented economy just weeks ago. We lost that economy because of public health measures. If we pursue the policies the president had in place that gave us that economy, I truly believe that we can get back, recognizing that the reports we're seeing right now about unemployment are difficult.
All right, we will leave it there. Secretary Eugene Scalia, it's good to see you this morning. Thank you, sir.